So let's talk about Ascariasis. So Ascariasis, this is an infection of the small intestines that is caused by Ascaris lumbricoides or uh, worms belonging to the group nematodes. Uh, so they go by the name of nematodes because they are round. That's why Ascariasis or Ascaris lumbricoides are most often called roundworms because they belong to a group of worms which are round in nature, which we call nematodes. So this is an helminthic infestation of the intestines, small intestines, that is caused by the roundworms, which are the nematodes. So we have quite a number of roundworms or worms that belong to the group of nematodes. Another example is hookworms as well. They are also roundworms. So that's about this Ascariasis. So Ascariasis, this is an intestinal, small intestine infection or infestation of the small intestine with what? Worms belonging to the group nematodes, which are transmitted through the oral, through the fecal-oral route, that is after you ingest foods or water which are contaminated by these worms. So the other thing that you need to know is that these are the most common form of worms in the world as at now. So quickly, let's zero down to the life cycle of these roundworms or Ascariasis. So the life cycle of Ascariasis starts with the adult worm. It starts with the adult worm in the small intestine of an infected individual. So the life cycle starts with, we have an individual who is what? Who is infected with these worms. So these adult worms will be where? In the small intestine of this individual. So adult worms where? In the small intestine of an infected individual. So that is where they live, and that's where they lay eggs from. So they lay eggs from the small intestine, and that's where the adult worms live. So what is going to happen there is a female Ascaris lumbricode can lay eggs without mating the male worm. So this female Ascaris lumbricode can even release eggs without meeting or mating a male worm. But these eggs that will be laid, they will be unfertilized, so they can't go further development, or in other terms, they are not effective. So this worm, the female worm, will start to lay eggs which are both fertilized, and other eggs will be fertilized. So once it mates with a male worm, it will start producing eggs which are what? Which are fertilized. So it can lay up to 200,000 eggs per day. So that's the first thing. So once these eggs are laid in the small intestine of an individual will either go to the toilet or the bush and what? Defecate. So once an individual defecates, in the feces will contain what? These eggs. So the feces will contain these eggs. So there's number 2 is passage of what? Eggs in feces. That's number 2. So that's number 2. Passage of eggs in what? In feces. So remember we said the eggs that will be released, we are going to have a combination of fertilized and unfertilized eggs. So those eggs which are not fertilized, they won't go under end development. But those which are fertilized, they will still go into further development. So the fertilized eggs, we call them embryonated eggs or fertilized eggs in simple terms. So they will continue going to further development if they find moist and warm conditions. So if they find favorable condition, which is the feces where they have been laid, it's the area is moist and is warm, they will go under further development. So what is going to happen now? So let's assume an individual comes and gets these feces and uses them as manure. Uses them as what? Manure. So once they are used as manure, an individual who is not infected will come and get those vegetables where the manure that was used is human feces, which contain these eggs which are fertilized, and unfortunately undercooks this food or makes salads. So this individual is going now to do what? To ingest or to swallow these fertilized eggs. So number 3 is swallowing of eggs by an individual. So once an individual swallows these eggs, they are going to go where? In the small intestines again. They are going to go into this in the small intestines of this individual and arch into what? Larva. So they are going to arch into larva. So once they arch into larva in the small intestine, this larva now is very active. It is not in form of what? Eggs. So it is active, it is able to move, and it is going to penetrate what? The intestine hole, which is number 4. So number 4 is what? Penetration of the intestine hole, or the hole of the intestine. So it is going to penetrate and go where? Once it penetrates the intestine, it is going to be taken by the lymphatics. Remember the lymphatics, they're going to drain this lymph again back into circulation, into blood. So they are going to be taken by the lymphatics, or they will go and find themselves where? In the portal vein. So in the portal vein, remember this portal vein is going where? To the lungs. So they are going to be taken through the portal vein to the lungs. So that is after they penetrate the intestinal hole, they are going to go using the portal vein to the lungs. So there in the lungs, they will continue to undergo further development. They will continue to undergo further development. But what happens in the lungs is that these larvae, they can't go any further down those capillaries which are found in the lungs, in the alveoli. So remember, in the alveoli, you find very small blood vessels which we call capillaries. So these larvae can't go further beyond those capillaries. And what is going to happen? They want to escape, and they are going to penetrate the alveoli. So they are going to penetrate the alveoli and start ascending or start going upward the respiratory tract through the bronchus. So through the respiratory tree, they were going to do what? To ascend. They will start going up. So once they start going up the respiratory tract, an individual is going to be irritated by that. And what is going to result from that? An individual is going to cough. And unfortunately, a lot of us will cough and swallow. So once this larva is swallowed again, it goes back where? In the small intestine again. So you cough, you swallow, you take this larva where? In the small intestine, where they will now mature into what? Adult worms. So once you cough and swallow them, they go and mature in the small intestines there and become what? Adult worms. And the cycle will continue just like that. So this is about Ascariasis. So the other thing that I will talk about, because this is just like a summary, just the treatment. So treatment, one, you can give albendazole. which is 400 milligrams once. So remember, albendazole we don't give in pregnant women as well as children who are below the age of what? 2 years. The other alternative drug which you can give, which is very common, is what? Vemox, also known as melbendazole. So melbendazole is 500 milligrams once, or 100 milligrams every after 12 hours for 3 days, which is twice daily, as you call it, for 3 days. Then the other drug that you can give in combination with these other two is pyrantel palmoate, which is 11 milligrams per kg body weight. So this is about ascariasis.